Hey baby, I'm making this video as an apology and explanation as to why I haven't been uploading anything to YouTube in the last couple of weeks. I was in rehab. It all started with one of my sugar daddies saying he wanted me to meet his parents. I freaked out thinking, holy fuck, I'm not in any position to meet. I'm not sure you understand how I actually look, because he is borderline fucking senile. He can barely get a glimpse of this situation with his glasses on. Imagine what his rich AF parents are gonna think when they realize the Adam's apple never lies, not to mention the wig situation. Sometimes now when I meet people that are trying to clock it, I just say it's a wig. So basically I just turn to him and I say absolutely not, and that's when he said this means a lot to me. And when you're rich AF sugar daddy who oh my god, like the inheritance I'm about to take off this old man, I'm telling you now bitch, I'm the only good thing going in his life, and before you know it, I'll be fucking on his deathbed. Fucking, what did I just say? Fucking on his deathbed, that could be a song. Someone messaged Cupcake. Either way, I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna start popping some estrogen. Everything they tell you that happens in those hormone update videos, which I'm so thankful there's so many of them on YouTube now, it doesn't really happen. Well, it does happen, it just doesn't happen straight away. Popping a load of estrogen pills in one go will lead you to a hospital bed. I found out the hard way. God only knows how many I popped in that 1 week period. Amidst my estrogen binge, I was popping pills, doing slut drops on the dance floor, drinking soy milk. I was snorting lines of estrogen off people's bodies. It got to the point where I was just starting to share it around. Everybody had a sniff. Everyone was so disappointed when they found out it wasn't cocaine. They're like, oh fuck Callum, you've been gypped. I said, no, I'm on estrogen now. I'm doing the estrogen. So yeah, there are some boys in Melbourne that are now growing boobs thanks to my estrogen binge. Amidst my estrogen binge, I found myself in a poop duke cubicle with a drag queen bitch. And this was probably the lowest of the low for my addiction. I basically said to her, I'm out of pills. I've taken them all. I've taken a year's worth of estrogen in 1 week. I've used up all my script renewals. There's none left. And not to mention, my endocrinologist wants my blood ever since I spanked her husband in the waiting room. She hates my guts, so I can't turn to her for any more scripts. What do you want? And I said, give me the estrogen pills. So she goes through her bag and says something like, my name's Molly, by the way. And I say, okay, so your name's Molly, is it? And she says, no, my name's not Molly. These are Molly's. So I'm not sure what she was trying to say in that moment. I just kind of assumed that she meant the pills she was about to give me were prescribed to a girl called Molly, who was obviously transitioning, and presumably she sold her pills to this drag queen, who also is presumably transitioning. It's very normal in my city and state for that sort of thing to happen, mainly because the system to get prescribed HRT is rigorous. You have to go through psychiatric evaluation, a 3-week course with the army, and on top of that, complete the Euston Beat test, which mind you, that fucking killed me. I still have a burst lung under this tit from that day. As you can imagine, there's a fucking fortune to be made just selling your HRT meds. I'm talking from experience here. I used to go around the club selling estrogen back in the day. I even sold a couple of testosterone blockers. I'd say, here you go, here's your testosterone blocker, here's your estrogen. Don't take them both at once. Make sure you drink lots of water. Always grab the friend and say, make sure he doesn't take both of them at once. The thing is, it can be very harmful for someone on their first trial. If you take either or for the first time or both at once, you can literally shit yourself. And I'm talking from experience again, you can shit yourself taking both of those. That's something I don't tell you about HRT. You can shit yourself on it. So that's that situation. I would actually walk out of the club and see some poor bitch down an alleyway with shit splattered everywhere. Here I am in the cubicle. I say to the drag queen bitch, just shove them all in a baggie. Here's daddy's cash. Fuck off. Thank you. Bye. Pleasure doing business. I don't know, what am I supposed to say? I just don't remember what happened. I lost my wallet, I lost my phone. Before I knew it, there was this like beeping sound, like very heavy, distinct, and I thought, oh, shut the fuck up. And then I sort of like came alive. And it wasn't like a nice waking up. It was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I've been unconscious sort of. You can always tell there's a difference between waking up and being like, fuck, I passed out. I've learnt the hard way. Waking up in a hospital is just so casual for me these days. I'm like, yep, who's my doctor this time? I look down, I'm pissing in a catheter, there's a drip attached to my arm. I look over to the side of me and see Mrs. Who's Who, whoever the fuck's sleeping in a hospital bed, and I think, oh, for fuck's sake, I've woken up in a public hospital. Here I am, uncontrollably crying with 3 nurses by my side trying to calm me down. I'm screaming, I'm shouting, someone call me a fucking Uber and take me to the private hospital. How was I supposed to know the sheets had been properly washed from whoever the fuck else was just in that bed? Like, seriously, I just don't belong in the public system ever since my parents sent me to a public school that one time. And I tell them to this day, that public school experience is the reason why I speak like such a fucking feral. So anyway, the doctors come back in and they're telling me all sorts of things about myself that I had no clue ever happened. They said I was malfunctioning, my heart was punculating, and I was lactating. That's rude. There's another person in the room, Mrs. Who's Who, whoever the fuck, I don't know who she is, and you're telling me all this about myself. And then this nurse comes in, is changing the fucking catheter bag, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, this woman, I have to sleep in the same room as her for God knows how long. She's hearing all this about me. She's seeing my piss in a bag. Like, can you stop? I share a lot of my life online, but I don't sleep in the same room as you. So it's okay at the end of the day, right? So before I jump into the Uber Black, I catch a reflection of myself in the windscreen and I think, holy fuck, I look worse than I did before this whole estrogen binge situation. I should have never gone through with it. I look like shit. I've grown roots. My skin's fucked. And not to mention, now that I've been in hospital and rehab, I've been off the estrogen for at least 2 weeks. You can imagine how horrified I was. Just about as horrified as I was to find out that my sugar daddy's parents are actually dead. Here I am, pissing in a catheter bag with a drip hooked up to my arm, standing next to my sugar daddy who's in a wheelchair, looking at a couple of gravestones. I turn down to him in his wheelchair and I just say, you failed to mention your parents are fucking dead. He's at that stage in life where you're gonna spoon feed him like mush, so he's kind of just like borderline dead himself, which should have given me the inkling that this guy is literally 89 years old. His parents are not alive. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. The way he talks about people, he makes it sound like he saw them yesterday. I think it's his dementia. He's just there not responding, looking at his parents in the fucking ground. I'm just pissing in the catheter bag at this point. I take it off, throw it at their fucking gravestone. Here I am 3.5 weeks later. I've been on a binge, I've been to hospital, and I've just come out of rehab. Ow. Oh, and how cute's this sweater? It's Shopkins.